Stocks are once again having a hard time holding on to earlier gains, and that sets the stage for our next guest. He's a portfolio manager whose global equity fund often makes money when other funds do not. David Winter's $1.6 billion Wintergreen fund has beaten 97% of its peers so far this year, and 99% of them over 5 years. He's a great performer, and he joins us now to tell us how he does it. Good to have you back with us.
Carol, great to see you.
How do you do it? I mean, you really are a consistent outperformer. What goes into your thinking when you're looking at companies and so on? And the macro picture.
Well, I'm a value investor, so I believe in what Ben Graham and Warren Buffett have taught us. But, we really try to look for businesses have a trifecta. So we're interested in businesses with improving economics, managements that are working for all shareholders, and a cheap price. And we have the flexibility to look at any kind of asset. And I think there's a lot to do today because people are so negative.
A lot of value.
Oh, it's a great time to be a value investor.
Although, you're beating Warren Buffett himself, right? I mean, you go to Omaha every year for the big meeting. Do you give him advice, or does he ask you to join Berkshire?
I think Warren's doing just fine. And I think, the beautiful thing about Berkshire is they just have cash and more cash. And I think, in our case, we could manage even more money today because there's so much to do.
What are you doing right that he's not? Because you're putting up better numbers.
Well, I think the thing that we're really doing is we're global, and we're not so focused on the U.S. And I think the real opportunity today is in Asia and in markets beyond just the U.S. And so at Wintergreen, it's the world is our treasure hunt.
We look at your top 10 holdings. We were talking about them in the newsroom yesterday because I think 3 of your top 10 were Swiss, or 3 of the top 10 in your fund are Swiss companies. You like them?
I love Switzerland.
Yeah.
And Switzerland, talk about balance sheets. The country has a great balance sheet. There's fabulous companies in Switzerland.
Right.
And they're global.
And we're talking about Swatch, Nestle's, and Schindler. You've held these companies for a while?
For years. We're long-term investors, and they have businesses that are capitalizing on what's going on in the world today.
Meaning what, specifically?
Richemont owns Cartier. They had great numbers yesterday. Women all over the world and men all over the world want to look good. You look beautiful. You're wearing beautiful jewelry. Everybody wants to be like you. And so you've got a couple billion people joining the party, and Cartier is well positioned. Schindler sells elevators and escalators. The world is becoming more vertical. Nestle, everybody loves chocolate bars.
All right, I'm just telling everybody, David gets to come back every day, anytime he wants.
Let me jump in and say, lately, a lot of people love Switzerland. I mean, I love Switzerland, but especially scared investors have been loving the Swiss franc, right? To the concern of the Swiss National Bank, they are now going to do pretty much everything in their power to limit the appreciation of that currency. How do you feel about that? How does that affect your stocks?
Well, we've benefited at Wintergreen from the appreciation of the Swiss currency, the franc, and also the underlying securities. And what the Swiss National Bank is doing, we think, makes a lot of sense because the manufacturers are being hurt by such a strong currency. So it makes sense what their government is doing, and we think that the companies that we've invested in will hopefully thrive over time.
I thought what was interesting is what you've recently, David, added to your portfolio, Norfolk Southern and MasterCard. Talk us through what kind of got you to these names.
Well, Norfolk Southern is a great railroad. The management's excellent. You can't duplicate the assets.
Such an old type of company. It's not the company we talk about every day.
Correct. But, they're becoming more efficient. And they have an advantage in energy as energy prices goes up because it's cheaper to move commodities by rail.
But even if the economy is slowing down?
Well, even if the economy is slowing down, they're affected. But, freight car loadings are pretty good.
Right.
And they buy back a lot of stock, and they have a lot of coal assets. So we think Norfolk's a gem. And then MasterCard, the world is going more and more like we are, which is less cash. And so MasterCard's well positioned. It's a global, increasingly a global business, lots of cash, buy back stock, run the business. And so we think if you're careful and you do the research, Carol, there's a lot of money to be made today.
Okay.
Hey, Warren Buffett has given some advice to the president, some that we don't know about, but also in an op-ed he said he wants his taxes to be raised. I wonder if you want to pay higher taxes as well. And what would you say Washington needs to do? What do you hope to hear from the president, even if it's something that you don't think is likely, to fix this economy?
Well, I think the fundamental problem is real estate because people don't know what their homes are worth. And when the majority of most individuals' assets are in a home or a condo, and there are no transactions, I think that's almost the central issue. And that really has not been addressed yet.
You know, forgive me, Matt, I'm going to go back to MasterCard because I wanted to just look at what that stock's been doing. It's up 51% this year, and you still see value.
You know, it was very, very undervalued. We bought some stock, it's gone up.
Yeah.
But I think the long-term prospects are good. And part of what differentiates what we do at Wintergreen is we try to think long-term. And part of the reason that that Buffett's made a fortune for himself and all the Berkshire shareholders, of which we are one, is he's thought long-term.
All right, my producer's going to kill me, but 5 seconds. B of A, though, Buffett invested in B of A. Special deal, of course, but would you even touch B of A?
We have not emphasized financials, but we found lots to do in things like MasterCard.
Okay, so I'll take that as a no on B of A. David, good to have you here in studio.
Great to see you, Carol.
Great to see you. David Winters joining us, Wintergreen Advisors CEO.